The Wizard Returns, Chapter 8. Hex felt as though he was being pulled through the air in 1,000 different directions. He opened his mouth to shout in terror, and a surge of purple magic poured down his throat. His entire body glowed with the same purple light. Was Pete so fed up with him that he finally decided to just kill him? But before Hex could worry about that he was experiencing his last moments on Earth, or wherever he was, the purple light faded, and he fell into the ground as if dropped there by a giant, none too careful hand. "Sorry," Pete said from somewhere behind him, although he didn't sound sorry at all. Teleportation can be a little rough if you're not used to it, or if, in your case, you don't remember that you're used to it. Hex ignored him, determined not to let Pete get the best of him, again. Instead, he stood up and looked around. They were in another forest, but this one looked significantly different from the monkey's jungle home. Where that forest had seemed tropical, this one was cool and still. No brightly colored birds flitted from branch to branch. No sparkling waterfalls cascaded down soft, grassy hillocks between trees. This place was severe, almost stark. The air was much cooler, and a sharp breeze brushed past the back of Heck's neck. He shivered. There was something about the dim, silent wood that was downright disturbing. He felt as though invisible eyes were peering at him from the shadows between the trees, assessing him as a potential lunch option. Pete seemed undeterred by the forest-haunted feel. He was dressed in the same clothes he'd been wearing when he'd pulled Hex from the poppy field, though he added a coat to stave off the forest chill. "What the hell happened to you?" Hex asked, fury battling out fear in his chest and ultimately winning. "What do you mean?" Pete asked breezily. "After the wolves. You just left me there. I was practically attacked by those dreadful monkeys and nearly taken prisoner. It was only my ability to think on my feet that kept me safe." Pete stared at him. "You're already changing the story to suit yourself," he said coolly. "Amazing. Think on your feet? Is that what you call what you did back there?" Hex faltered. "Well, I mean, it's true the little monkey was the one who helped me expose the Chancellor as a charlatan and restore peace to the queendom. But I'm the one who was able to get through the Queen when no one else would. Doesn't that count for something?" He resolutely avoided thinking about the hurt on Iris's face when he'd claimed sole credit for exposing Quentin. He didn't have time to worry about that now. He had to find out what the next test would be, and fast, before Pete disappeared again. "You yourself basically said I was a con man," he added. "Maybe I'm just remembering who I am. You're the one who won't tell me anything except that I'm from somewhere that isn't here, and it's my job to help you save a place I don't remember anything about. Why should I even want to do anything you asked me?" Pete sighed, and his harsh expression softened. "Look, I don't like this any more than you do, but Oz has always had a complicated relationship with the other place. It took someone from there, Dorothy, to set Oz's decline in motion, and we think it will take someone else from there to repair what she's done to our country. Right now you are our only hope, assuming you remember who you are in time to stop her. And I know you don't remember, but I promise, Oz is worth saving." "Our?" Hex asked. Pete looked at him for a long time, mixed emotions playing on his unusually impassive face. Finally, as if making a decision, he added, "I'm helping the fairies, let's just say. We're fighting to make Oz the place it once was. Before you—" He cut himself off. "Before everything changed." "Before I what?" Hex asked. "Why can't you just tell me?" Pete shook his head. That's not how it works. We have to remember, truly remember, who you are." Hex looked at the ground, where tiny golden flowers with smiling faces beamed up at him. One of them appeared to be humming with some kind of catchy jingle under its breath. Did I care about Oz?" he asked hesitantly. "Can you at least tell me that much?" "You cared about yourself," Pete said. "As for Oz, only you can know that, once your memory has returned." "Did it seem like I cared about Oz when you knew me, before?" "I've already told you all I can," Pete said curtly, and the stony-faced, inscrutable boy was back again. "You can ask me all the questions you want, but that's not going to get you any real answers. Those you have to find on your own." "You're leaving me here again, aren't you?" Hex asked. Pete smiled. though the grin didn't quite reach the brilliant emerald eyes. You catch on quick. I still don't even know what I'm being tested for. The future of Oz, Pete said. No pressure. Like I said, so far, your score's pretty low. Hex thought of what he'd done to poor Iris and winced. If he'd known all this time that the monkeys had been a trial of some kind, would he have done anything differently? Iris's heartbroken face flashed before him again, and he closed his eyes against the memory. What happens if I fail? Hex asked. Pete shrugged. We'll throw you back into the poppy field, I guess. If you fail, you're no use to anyone, let alone Oz. We don't need cowards and cheats on our side. Dorothy has plenty of those, if you want to throw your lot in with her. That name again. Dorothy. It rang the faintest of bells in his subconscious. Blue and white checks. Something silver and glittering. Shoes, he thought suddenly. There had been shoes. I like the poppy field, Hex admitted. That doesn't seem like much of a punishment. In that case, Pete said calmly, I guess we should just kill you. It was impossible to tell if he was joking. Are you a fairy? Hex asked quickly, hoping to change the subject. But Pete looked troubled. I've already told you more than I should, he said. The fairy sent me, and that's all you need to know. But how will I know if I'm being tested? Pete smiled like a cat with a cornered mouse. Oh, believe me, he said. You'll know. How will I know where to go? Hex asked, but Pete already vanished in another flash of purple electricity. Hex looked down at his battered shoes. The only thing he realized that had what that was left from his life before, whatever that life had been. Just beyond his toes, he noticed the first time a sandy path that led off the dark woods. He was sure, well, almost sure, that the path hadn't been there a moment ago. He looked up again. All around him, brambles and bracken had closed in. Their thick, wavy leaves waved eerily, even though there was no wind, and a huge, glossy black thorn sprouted from the branches, oozing a vicious slime that looked distinctively poisonous. He had no other option but to follow the path through the thick underbrush. The only way out, it seemed, was forward.